everyone, and welcome to our Golf Tier System Future You Pathway webinar series. My name is Coach TJ. For those of you who don't know me, I have academies in Vancouver and in Las Vegas, and I'm an LPGA life member, and I've been learned golf at age 12, and I competed as a junior, amateur, collegiate, and as a professional. I went to University of Washington on a full ride, and I captained the team for 3 years. I had 4 wins and 4 runner-up finishes, and it was there that I started my teaching career as a freshman, which gave me my passion for teaching golf and juniors. Our two academies, we specialize in kids age 5 to 18, where we make sure that they're solid foundation of their golf game. And also we have them do academic readiness. So I'm happy that the Future You Pathway program has helped hundreds of kids get into their dream schools and beyond. And I'm here today with my esteemed co-host, Coach Michael Hughes. Coach Michael Hughes is a colleague here of Future You Pathway program. And before then, he was the head coach of the men's golf team at Brown University for the last 17 years, and he has had a esteemed career. So he started his pro career in Florida at the PGA National, where he met the likes of Dr. Gary Warring and Jim Flick. And between those two guys, they hooked him up with Ken Venturi, who won the 1964 US Open. Ken Venturi had a golf academy in Chicago, and that's where Coach was the director of golf for 6 years. And it was then he got coerced to be the assistant coach at DePaul University. After that, they had a worldwide search for Brown University coach, and Coach Hughes was named the coveted coach there, and he is the go-to guy for short game. Coach Hughes has a passion for teaching young golfers going from collegiate all the way to professional also. So we have that passion together. Coach Hughes and I have had mini camps together in Vancouver and in Ireland, and Coach Hughes and I took the 8 Ivy League coaches, Northwestern and Duke, to China in 2017. Coach Hughes, how are you today?
I'm great. I'm really looking forward to this session here. I've got two very good friends of mine that are in the coaching ranks and giants in their own way, and I'm very interested in hearing what they've got to say. But as far as you and I are concerned, I was just thinking back to our first trip over to China, where we boarded that Air Canada flight in Vancouver and flew to Shanghai, not really knowing what was going on, but I believe we had a positive impact on the Chinese student athletes that came before us. I think you're seeing now that the bearing the fruits of that, perhaps not us directly, but you got Hao Tong Ling, who just finished second in the British Open at Royal Portrush. So clearly China's a burgeoning market. So it does me good to think that we stood on the Great Wall of China together and hit balls. And I couldn't be happier to have both these guys on here. So
I
thanks.
know, I know you have a very special relationship with both Coach John Sjoberg of Emory University and Division III, and Coach Steve Napoli of Holy Cross, with both the men's and women's team. Coach Hughes, why don't you tell us a little bit about your relationship with John, Coach John?
Well, John and I traveled in the same academic circles for our student athletes. I want to make sure that at least on my side, I'm clear about that. But John and I have been doing the Kerry Cup golf camp series over at Waterville, Ireland for the past, what was it, John? Now 12 years, I think.
Yes, I think this was the 12th one.
And I've got to know him as not only a coach, but as a good guy. We always stay in the same house together in Southwest Ireland. And he's a quality guy. He, just like all of us in these webinars, we stress the student athlete portion of this, with the student coming first and the athlete coming second. So it's my pleasure to have him here. When I asked him, he readily agreed, and that's a benefit to all who are watching this.
Amazing. So, and I also know you have a very special relationship with Coach Steve. I don't know. You told me something about some cannoli story or something.
Yeah, that's a funny story. When I was hospitalized a couple of years ago with something that was serious, which we've hopefully got a hold of now, but he came. I got a lot of visitors from the golfing world, but the only person that came up and brought me 2 cannolis from LaSalle Bakery was Steve Napoli, and I know that doesn't seem like a big deal, but if you're a Rhode Islander, it's a huge deal. But Steve kind of his resume speaks for itself. He's been a giant in the PGA of America's world, and it does my heart good to see what he's done with the Holy Cross program. He's done wonders with it, and we talk, we go to dinner a lot, and I learn a lot from him. So why don't you start out, TJ, and we'll go from here.
Great. Coach John, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background for those on the call that don't know much?
Yes, I'm a men's coach at Emory University down in Atlanta, Georgia. We've been here since 2008. I spent 3 years as an assistant, and then in 2011, took over as the head coach of the program, and they have not asked me to leave yet, so we're still here. We are Division III, as you said, so non-scholarship student athletes, but competing at the national level and trying to put the best program together we can do.
Okay, great. Coach Steve, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Mine's kind of a roundabout way getting into college coaching. Typical after college, I became a club pro and then a director of golf. I was always around good players. The clubs that I worked at, really good players. Then continued to work my way up into managing clubs. And so as I was getting ready towards retiring, which was going to be in 2017, I said, well, I want to stay in golf somehow. What could I do? So I volunteered at Bryant University. I did that for 5 years. We actually made the NCAAs, the regionals. We went out to Washington. And at the end of the 5th year, the coach there said, hey, job at Holy Cross is open. Why don't you throw your name in the hat? Don't want to compete against you, don't want to coach against you, but I think that's something that you might want to do. So here I am in my 9th year with the men's team, third with the women. I would say I inherited a Division I team. On the men's team was Holy Cross that was, quite frankly, operating as a club team. And we've turned that around. We missed the NCAA regionals by a stroke last year. I did have one player win conference and went to the regionals in Amherst. On the women's side, unfortunately, I also inherited a club team, and I'm trying to turn that around. As Mike told me the last time we went out to dinner, that we've created something that's desirable. So I like that word. So
Oh, I love that. Good one. Good one, Coach Mike.
Thank you.
Coach John, can you shed some light on the differences between Division III and Division I? I know you just touched on a little bit about the academic, but how, in a golf standpoint or in a overall NCAA, how are they really different?
Well, yeah, the obviously the biggest difference is the athletic scholarship piece. We're not allowed to offer that. Many, if not most, Division III schools will offer some merit-based aid and also need-based aid, depending on your family situation. So I would definitely say, just because there's a listed price on a website of what the tuition is, don't let that scare you away right away. You may want to dig a little deeper and see if you can earn some of that merit-based aid and see what the actual price is. And then from a golf standpoint, we're still trying to bring in the best players we can find that fit our academic profile. We're trying to compete at the national level, at the Division III level. So playing in a national championship with an opportunity to win a trophy at the end of the year. So the golf is not a whole lot different other than it's just a different group of schools we're competing against.
Okay, great.
Steve, could you answer the same question here, just based on your knowledge? I don't know how vast it is about Division III, but what are
well,
some differences
I
you've
can,
heard of?
yeah, I can answer that. And I'm going to be specific to our league, which is the Patriot League. And it's a little different with the men than it is for the women.
Mm.
But there are no scholarships in the Patriot League. So by and large, John and I are competing against or for the same group of players, group of students, high academics, skilled golfers, young men that are haven't plateaued. They're on their way up, and hopefully will continue to grow as golfers and get better. On the women's side, the Patriot League allows one scholarship, which most coaches will divvy amongst all the young women on the team. So it's, we're very similar in what we do in the Patriot League to what say an Emory does, or some of the New England Small College Athletic Conference, the NESCACs do, the Middleberries, so on and so forth, the Bowdens, the Colbys, Amherst, very similar. We're kind of looking, our threshold first is always academics. That's the first thing. We got to get through that threshold. And I would also say the same thing that John mentioned. Though we don't have golf scholarships, there's always a net cost, whether it's financial aid or merit, and a difference from family to family and student to student.
Well, I have a question. Can you name the schools in the Patriot League?
They're different for the men than they are for the women. I could name them all, but since I've been with the men the longest, how about if I do that?
Great.
So West Point, the Naval Academy, Bucknell, Lehigh, Lafayette, Colgate, Holy Cross. I think I did it. Yeah. So
Wow. Okay.
That's pretty impressive right there.
Yeah.
I could do the same thing with the Ivy League, but I'd leave Yale out, but I digress. All right, let me shift gears here a little bit. John, we'll start you off with this question. I'm a prospective student athlete. How do I get on your radar? Well, what can I do to help further my cause?
Shoot good scores. That's the simple answer. No, yeah, just like Coach Napoli said, fitting the profile of a student at whatever school you're looking at is the first thing. Obviously, the better you are as a student, the bigger the net you can cast as you're looking at programs, right? The best students aren't limited academically to any of the restraints that may be put on an admittable student. So I think for the most part, generally speaking, golf, you're not getting a lot of exceptions to whatever the academic rule is at said institution. I don't think golf in general is getting a lot of exceptions to that rule where they can get you in just because you're really good at golf there. Most of those exceptions are for guys wearing long shorts or shoulder pads, right? So
Oh, I didn't know what that meant. That's funny.
so basketball and football. But yeah, so yeah, the biggest piece is, do you fit the profile from an academic standpoint? Can you help us from a golf standpoint? Those are the first two things you're looking at.
So Coach Steve, same question. Like, do you go to university ID camps? Do you look on see what the kids are doing? Do you recruit in your neighborhood or near where you live and go watch tournaments?
I'll throw a couple little maybe additions or little wrinkles to what John said. For me, most of our initial contact with people out of our region is they'll reach out to us. By and large, the families understand the importance of education first, and they'll use the game or their skills to hopefully get on our radar and help with admissions. If you don't meet that academic standard, it's just a stop sign.
It's a no-go. It's a non-starter.
It's a quick conversation.
Yeah, and it kind of ends. As far as the second part of your question, I don't necessarily just recruit in this area. I happen to have a home in Florida, so that allows me to be able to recruit in Florida a little bit. I've been to Texas, been out west a little bit, but the initial contact will come from primarily the students. Oftentimes, our alumni will also let us know, and as you all know, there's databases that we can look at and get a pretty good indication of a player's skills and maybe where they're trending. Now the third piece there would be, it's academics, it's the golf skill. The other thing that I do, which is really, really important to me, is the character of an individual. And our industry is so small that anybody can find out anything about any golfer anywhere. And so, in a roundabout way, I'm not going to bring a great golfer who happens to be a very good student that has questionable character into our 10-player roster, because it can really mess things up. So for me, there's three pieces, and the character is the third piece.
Very well put.
Yeah, well put.
I'm going to change lanes here for a little bit, and we're going to talk about something that's been kind of in the news recently about the technology of golf. I'll start out with John. John, the technological advances that have been made in golf in the last 10 and 12 years, I'm talking about data on, handheld devices or finding out about a golf course before you even play it. Detriment or something that's good for golf?
Mostly good, I would say. Certainly, certainly can be detrimental if used in the wrong way. But I think mostly good. I think these young men that are coming to us have more information that they're like you said, in the palm of their hand than we probably took us 10 years to learn through trial and error. So I think it's great from that standpoint. I think it can be a detriment if you're like we had a player a couple of years ago at the NCAA tournament. We did, I basically just took his phone away from him before the round started because he kept videoing every swing, right? And so it can be used poorly, but for the most part, very good, very good. TrackMan, Flight Scope, TC Quad, Google Earth, like you said, kind of sorting a golf course before you get there. All of these things can be used to your advantage if used properly and correctly. You just don't need to take, the whole bottle of pills and overdose on some of it. But it can be very good for the most part, I would say.
Okay, same question for Coach Steve.
I'm going to be shorter. I think it's the use of technology is better. It allows the students, so the golfers, to get better faster, particularly in the off season when they're working indoors, when there's no pressure on posting a score. The one piece, well, I think at times it slows the game down a little bit when they're on the course. We see that on TV a lot. And the one piece of technology that I'm constantly trying to caution my players about is this. It's the rangefinder. And they become so reliant on it that it becomes the only piece of information. It's 185. Well, that's fine. It's 185 to the pin, but it might be a 174 shot. And that's the only thing that I see that sometimes if the technology is not used right, it could be a detriment.
Yeah, I totally agree. Coach John, what do you think about a student athlete that is chipping from 20 yards and instead of walking up onto the green to check it out, they use a rangefinder for 20 yards? Do any of your young men do that? I know they're really.
Yes, yes, to your point exactly. You try to work them out of that habit because it is that's where the art and the feel of the game comes in the most.
I think the word you're searching for is ludicrous, but
ludicrous. Yeah, maybe that and blessing the Pope, right?
Oh yeah, that whole putting thing.
No, but especially around the greens, having some feel, having some touch, understanding trajectory and spin and the surface you're landing the ball onto and how that's going to affect. No 22-yard shot is ever going to be the same as the last one, so it becomes very difficult to try to compare to.
Steve, what's your thought on that?
Couple things. One, So let's just say they're walking up the fairway. They just set their ball's 22 yards off the green. They set their bag down over near the cart path between the green that they're about to hit that shot onto and the next tee, and they take out their putter in their 60-degree. They have yet to look. They have yet to look at the lie. What's the grass like, and so on and so forth. So that for me is a big thing. And then the second thing that I see, and I kind of don't understand it, but lots of times they don't even walk up on the green and look, pick the landing spot. It's just like, and we can spend time with them over and over and over again. But if in competition, I'm on the fourth hole with the player and somebody else is on 8 and they don't want to walk up on the green, or they just want to take that 60-degree out and walk on over and hit the shot, there's nothing we can do. There's nothing I can do to a degree. So
Right. It's almost like creating a new habit. Like I'll say to my players, if you don't take 3 different clubs to chip with, I'm gonna get not that I get mad, but I'm gonna get mad, right? That you're not taking, options with you. And then because there's nothing worse than your bag's over there and you go, oh, I wish I had my 56 at this point. Yeah.
I
Right,
think
I just have a quick follow-up question. You can answer this with a simple yes or no. Steve, I'm interested to hear your take on this because you were the head pro at such a wonderful golf course in Wannamoisett that you and I both grew up playing. Does the golf ball go too far?
Oh boy, that's a tough one. I don't know. I don't know that I have the answer to that. I'll share something that I do with my players, and this might be a strange way of answering that question, but I'll put a grid up on a whiteboard, and driver, say 3-wood if they happen to carry a 3-wood, and then 2-iron down to their 60-degree, and I'll just make a grid, and then on the left-hand side I'll put their names, and then I'll say, okay, everybody go up on that board and write down. And I don't do this every year; I do it every 3 or 4 years. Write down what your yardages are. Okay, and by and large, they're kind of all the same. They're hitting the ball 310, something like that. Their 4-irons going, I don't know, 230. It's all the same. So, at least at our level, there's maybe a club difference, a half a club difference from maybe our best player to our weakest player, but there's a big difference between our best player and our weakest player score-wise. So I don't know if it's the distance, Mike, or if it's the experience, the skill level, the confidence. I don't know what piece of that puzzle it is. I would say, I'd say the golf ball, it doesn't curve as much as it did, when we were kids. So there's straighter shots, and I guess it's further shots, but I don't have a problem with the golf ball, what it's doing now.
Okay, John?
Okay. Coach
Yeah,
John, oh, go ahead.
I would
Yeah,
no,
tell
I
me.
would have just echo what he said. I would have
Right.
just said that last part. It doesn't curve, right? And so if anything, that's what I would like to see the ball spin more, curve more. Off center hits become more of an issue because they just get up there and they swing as hard as they can. And if you hit it half an inch out on the toe, it curves 15 yards and it's just in the left rough instead of everybody having to duck for cover in the left tree. So yeah, that's probably the one thing is it doesn't spin as much as it used to, and probably too little.
I remember when I was playing, it was like, okay, I'm like, is this a draw or a fade? Or for me, even is this, am I hooking it or am I slicing it?
Yeah.
Because of the ball. Same with Coach Hughes, I'm sure when he played, it was like, yeah, way more. You guys just hit it straighter now. Okay, Coach John, what attributes do coaches look for when recruiting a student athlete? What do you look for?
Well, when we're when you're out like watching, if you are fortunate enough to see a kid play, one, I want to say, if we come watch you play, generally that means we think you're good enough, right? Like you're at least in the mix of the conversation. We're generally not going to watch players we don't think can help us. So if a coach shows up to watch, you take that as a compliment, first off, right? Maybe you get a little bit nervous, that's fine, but like understanding, okay, coach or he or she thinks I'm good enough to play at this program, so maybe flip it into like I'm gonna show off here and show them how good I can really play. And then for me, honestly, I would rather, I don't want to see you play bad, but watching somebody shoot 67 or 68, uh, you're generally in a pretty good mood. You're treating everybody good. You're smiling, you're talking, you're laughing, right? Like the game can seem simple at times. I think I would rather see somebody play maybe marginal, make a few bogeys, see how they react. How are you um, interacting with your playing competitors? How are you interacting with mom and dad, the staff, any volunteers, shuttle ride, whatever? Like, how do you function when it's not going your way? And can you handle the stress and the playing poorly? Because that, like Coach said earlier, it's a small group, it's a small room, we're together a lot, and you just don't have much space for a knucklehead. So you want good people in your program.
Yeah. How, Coach Steve, how about you?
So I look for kind of all-American boys and girls, or men and women. I don't know how you defined all-American, and I'm not talking about all-American golfers. I'm just saying, all-American values. When I go to a tournament, absolutely, I'm watching before, when they're warming up, what's going on. I watch the interaction actually with the parents, because that's going to carry forward, if that player comes to play for us. And I've seen positives, and we've seen positive, and we've seen negatives. I'm not necessarily talking about like a particular AJGA event, because they have their rules as far as putt out and go to the next hole. But if there's a tournament that doesn't have that, actually, there was one particular person I was interested in, and he never once picked up a flag. Just never,
Right. That's
never tended to play, never picked up a flag. I went to see a player in Florida, and what I thought, was a birdie on a par five on the last hole, in a round which he actually shot one under, turned out to be a par. I missed his tee shot, and he putted out. He made a nice 8-footer for par, and he proceeded to throw the ball, in the water. That was it for me. On the 18th hole, it's like, so maybe that ties into what I said before with character. It's not just one piece you're looking for. John said you spend a lot of time, with the students. The very first piece of advice I got when I took this job was Steve, you better find, and it wasn't women at the time, but you better find young men that you like, because you're going to be with them an awful lot on the road as well. So.
hmm.
Guys, let me ask you, what are some of the things that are you can't recover from? Is there anything that you've seen, be it if playing loose and fast with the rules of golf, or disrespecting a fellow competitor? What would be something that you just turn around the van and drive back home?
I'll go first this time. I haven't faced it. Thank God, Mike. Um, I have, you know, I've sat players, for tossing a club. Um, we actually have a policy that it varies every year, but we sit down at the beginning of the year and decide, what's going to happen. Let's face it, these kids are college kids, and if they have a couple of days off, and there's a party, they're going to go to that party. But we have a policy that, within a certain number of hours, there's no alcohol, and that's regardless if you're 21. But I've suspended players for that, for violating that. But as far as at a tournament, I've not faced anything. I would hope that the messaging that we've provided would prevent that. Now, having said that, I firmly believe that one of the reasons that God made adults is because young people need guidance and they mess up, they make mistakes. And then the trick is, how do you deal with that? How to deal with that moving forward. But I've not had to, I haven't really had anything that's been so egregious. Thank God.
John, how about you?
Yeah, echoing what Coach said. We have not had anything so egregious that we've lost a player to it. But yeah, absolutely, players get mad and anger gets the best of them at times. But you hope it's just once, right? And they figure it out afterwards. So no, to what Coach Hughes asked, the rules, right? Like if you're blatantly cheating or just misrepresenting whatever the rules say, that's a tough one because as we talked about, golf's a small community, and that word travels quickly. So that would be the one that you're like, that's a hard one to overcome for sure.
Yeah, no cheating. I think that was your first rule, right, Coach Hughes?
There's a zero tolerance policy here when I was coaching, and what it was is you don't get a warning. The warning is the very first meeting we have at the beginning of the year. And look, the rules of golf are in some ways draconian. There's stuff in there that you just say, shake your head at, what's the USGA thinking of? But I remember Tom Watson saying once, you should play the ball as you find it, play the course as you see it. And when you can't do either, just do what's right. And there's a lot of words of wisdom for that. And I think that, I tell kids, and TJ, I think you will echo this with me, that the previous shows we've done, every person that we've spoken to has, to some extent or some form, said, look, you're representing the school that you're with. With me, it was Brown University. I carry a B still proudly on my shoulder, on my breastplate here. You're representing me as the head coach, and you're representing, at least at Brown University, 100 years of golf and tradition before then. You need to take that very, very seriously, because I do, and you should do the same thing. I'm just curious as if the boys here think the same thing I do.
I just think it's the nature of our game. We're the competitor. We're the fan. You're rooting for the people that you're playing with. You want to beat them, but you're rooting for them and you're applauding them when they hit a good shot. You're the rules official at the same time, or the referee who has a whistle at a basketball game or a hockey game or an umpire, something like that. So I think, Mike, it just goes hand in hand with how how the game is meant to be played. So
Well said.
Great. Coach Steve, how important is it to have a good tournament schedule as a junior?
That's a great question. And the question I get a lot is, what tournaments do you want me to play in? And I don't have any preference what tournaments you play in, and that's for a number of reasons. First and foremost, it's economics. What can a family support? Travel, multiple children in multiple sports, so on and so forth. I think, however, what you want to do is you want to find a tour or a little tour to play in, or a little group of people to play with. Maybe it's just in your city, your county, your state. And when you start to have success, then you need to take a step up and then branch out. And if you have success there, you've got to keep doing that. So I know that there's some tours that are the cat's meow, so to speak. There's been times I've had players, come and play for us and never once got into one of those tournaments, and then, just have marvelous careers here. So, I don't think there's a formula. I don't think there's a formula with the golf swing either. The golf ball tells you what's going on. I just don't think there's a formula for success. I just don't.
Coach John, how about you about the tournament situation, tournament schedule?
Yeah, similar advice. The one thing I would say is, if at all possible, try to play multi-day events, right?
Yes.
If you can find a handful of 2 or 3 day events, local, regional, or national, but just multi-day events, decent sized golf course, decent sized field, but multi-days. Something I heard from a coach much smarter than I, that resonated with me. If you can, just like Coach Steve was talking there earlier, he called it the rule of a third. But if you can play a third of your events, kind of local, regional in your area, probably maybe commute from your house, not have to stay overnight, and then maybe a third of your events a little bit further away. You can stay in a hotel, do some of those things where you're traveling and have to come up with a schedule and have breakfasts and deal with the things that happen there. And then exactly what he said, if you have some success there, go to a third of them where they're like your state open, your state am, something that's maybe a step above your level, but just getting that experience applying with some of the best in your area. But ultimately, if you can play multi-day events in the course of 6 to 12 months, depending on what part of the country you're in and how long your season is, if you can get 12 to 15 or up to 20 rounds, but 12 to 15 rounds out of that, you're going to have a solid resume where a coach is going to say, okay, here's how good your good is. Here's when you don't play so good, but ultimately here's the middle 50% of those rounds or 70% of those rounds that you play. And that's kind of who you are day in and day out. And can that person help us is what we're looking for.
Interesting.
Yeah, go for it, Coach.
Okay, shifting gears again here. Guys, you've got somebody that's been admitted to the school. They're coming in to become a member of either Holy Cross or Emory. What do you think these people should do to make their transition from high school to a varsity level player who's actually traveling? Do you have anything or any mechanisms in place that will allow that to be a smooth transition, Steve?
I'll go. Mike, you're familiar with this. 10 days ago, I'm involved in our state caddy scholarship, which is second oldest in the country. And so I had to give a speech a week ago, Tuesday. And all the honorees and their parents are there. And it's a nice night. It's at Wannamoyset. It's a nice night. And they'd asked me to speak. And so I was like, what am I going to talk about? So I actually went to my students and said, if you're an incoming freshman to a college, what would you want to know? And so they gave me a list of things, and I'm not going to go through the whole list, but one of them was, get ahead, stay ahead. That's academically. 2, get a relationship with your professors. Make sure they know who you are. Make sure that, in our case, make sure they know you're on the golf team and you might be missing 3 days of classes. And professor, what can I do? So on and so forth. 3, make as many friends as you can, because your network at school, it might be somebody that had that chemistry class or had that economics class before, or would know maybe which professor seems to have a better rapport with the students. And I could go on and on and on. Now, as it relates to golf, I expect 0 from my freshmen, other than how they behave themselves. Both at school, with their team, on the golf course, whether it's practice or we were competing, because it's a time of adjustment. And I pretty much do that for the whole freshman year. I found that if I'm more a grandparent than a coach, I find that that's more effective, because quite frankly, they're scared. They're leaving home for the first time. They're nervous. And the trust factor with the relationship with the student and coach, I think is really important, that they can come to you with anything. So that's kind of how I look at it. The golf piece is really important, but it's not about the freshman year or the next 4 years. It's really about the next 40 years. What is Emory doing? What is Holy Cross doing? What's Brown doing? How's it preparing these young men and women for the rest of their lives? So that's how I look at things.
Coach John, how about you?
No, that was very well said. Yeah, the expectations on freshmen from a golf standpoint are very low. One thing to add, I was just talking to somebody the other day, that if you want to see a golfer at quite possibly the most nervous point of their career, watch a freshman on the first tee of his first round of qualifying when he gets to school, because they just don't have any idea what to expect or understand, probably haven't seen the golf course. They don't really understand what a good score is yet. So it can be quite refreshing to see how nervous a freshman can be on that first tee of his first round of qualifying here in a couple of weeks when class starts. But just one thing to add to what Coach said earlier: have mom and dad teach you how to do laundry before you get here, because now you have to do that on your own, and run a dishwasher and whatever else, what other actual life skills you're going to need for the first time. But yeah, just to echo what he said, it's time management is ultimately what it comes down to. Understanding where your resources are, who your resources are. Fortunately, on a golf team, you're built in with 6 or 8 or 10 upperclassmen in your group that can help you. Just like I said, pick classes and help with professors and choosing how to navigate missing class and all of those things. You use those resources, but it really just comes down to time management and understanding how much time you have and when it's available to you, and what to do with it.
I'd like to just add one thing. I'm not so sure that the average freshman coming into any college anywhere in the United States understands what resources are available to them, no matter what happens at school. They're likely the schools that they've been at they operate probably from 7 o'clock in the morning until about 4:30 in the afternoon. When our students arrive later this week, our team, and I'm not talking about a golf team, but our team of people that work at this college are going to be here until May. We're operating 24/7 until May, and there are and the student athletes here all the time, and there are resources upon resources upon resources at colleges to assist in anything and everything that can go on.
Do you find that most colleges have most of the same resources?
No, it's exactly what Coach just said. The 4 years that you're in a place of higher learning, higher education, you will have more resources at your fingertips than at any other point in your life. At least the ones that are available to you for, obviously you pay tuition, but for no cost, right? Whether it's mental health, physical health workouts, nutritionists, and then on the academic piece, tutoring and TAs and the writing center and the career center and all of these things. Like, none of these schools want you to fail, right? They want you to be successful. It helps everybody if you're successful. Now, they don't come knock on your door on Tuesday morning and say, hey, I just noticed you've got a paper due on Thursday. We should write that rough draft today and get it to the writing center so you don't get a C- on this paper. But it's available to you if you just understand what's out there in front of you, because yeah, just like you said, it's 24/7 for whatever 10 straight months. They're there for your success.
Wow.
Great.
I don't know, TJ. I think we could sit here and talk to these two guys for another 3 hours.
Yes.
Still,
How about then Coach Hughes, why don't you ask one final question?
um, in 5 seconds or less, what do you
Hmm.
think? What do you think about the new alignments in golf?
The new alignments meaning
NCAA golf, the new conferences.
Oh, the new conferences.
oh go ahead, Steve.
The rich are going to get richer, and the poor are going to get poorer.
Very well put.
And then the Patriot League, obviously, they've stayed the same. So it's
Yeah,
not
so-
like the ACC and the Pac-12, isn't it the Pac-12 or something? Isn't that,
It's
are they
gone.
kind of trying to come back? But I know they dissolved and they all went somewhere else and then
Well, you've got Stanford now and Cal playing in the ACC. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. But I think the changes of the winds of change are coming through college golf shortly. I'm not sure it's going to be for the good or for the worse, but as Steve said, the better teams seem like they're just doling out money to NIL kids and getting better, and the ones that can't do that are not.
Another way of looking at that, and I mean, I finished my career at just across the Hudson, from downtown Manhattan and Wall Street, and um, if you're at a college that's in a metropolitan area where there's an awful lot of income or disposable income or alums that can contribute, you know there's just going to be more money to use in your programs across all athletics. Now, on the other hand, if you're in a very, very rural area, it's you're going to be at maybe at an economic disadvantage as it pertains to NIL or fundraising, so on and so forth. So that's just something I've thought about a little bit. I just think that our only way forward at Holy Cross is to win our league. That's the only way for us to get the NCAA and to the NCAA regionals. And as long as we have that automatic bid, we're fine. The danger would be if that ever went away. Okay,
that'd be
automatic
terrible.
bid. And if the automatic bid went away for where Mike was at the Ivy League or so on and so forth, we're not a top 50 program, and we're in Massachusetts. We're never going to be a top 50 program. I don't believe in get an at-large bid. I'd love us to be, but it's not likely. So, that would be to me like the biggest dangers that somebody makes a decision on these automatic bids and increase the number of at-large bids, so to speak.
Coach John?
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if we get here from Coach John here, we can sort of give it back to you to do the closing ceremony remarks. John, what did you think about the realignment of? I know it's not as apparent in Division III as it was in Division I.
No, it definitely isn't. But it has been interesting down here in the South and kind of in the middle of the ACC and the SEC, and just it seems to be trending towards the 40 or 60 or however many they're going to put into their power group, and then the rest. I don't know how long it takes to get to that, or what that looks like outside of football, but yeah, it's an interesting road we've started down. I don't know if we can recover from it, or if we're just going to keep going deeper into the black hole.
Well said.
Well, gentlemen, I think you guys are amazing, and I super thank you for coming on and talking with Coach Hughes and I tonight. Oh, and keeping him up, right, John?
Yes, I'm surprised he's still awake.
Yes. Coach
Well-
Hughes, final remarks?
Yeah, I've known both these guys for a while, and you couldn't get too fine a gentleman. And I think the echoing that we've had with all the guests we've had on here so far is, would you like to play for either one of these gentlemen? And the answer is an unequivocal yes. I'd go to battle with these guys anytime. Good friends, but also great gentlemen.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate the
Hopefully,
kind words.
yeah, hopefully seeing you guys at our university ID camps too. Would love for you guys to come out with that.
Let us know when and where.
You got it.
Okay. Great. Okay,
Good night,
thank you guys.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.